My expectations for Kraven the Hunter, much like my last 3 relationships, were pretty much on the floor, but unfortunately, just like my last 3 boyfriends, the movie literally dug underneath the bar to disappoint me. Hi y'all, SnarkyJay cosplay here. Yes, I unfortunately finally watched Kraven the Hunter, and the reason why I didn't put out this review slash therapy session, I don't exactly know what this video is gonna be just yet. The reason why I didn't put it out sooner is because when Kraven the Hunter came out in theaters, I was actually sick at home with bronchitis and it took me about a week to recover from it. But finally, I'm better. I found an opportunity. And so on Christmas Eve, actually, I subjected myself to watching Kraven the Hunter. And much like my Madam Web video, I don't know that this is going to be a traditional review. Like if Gordon Ramsay walked into a kitchen and you served him a terribly prepared sandwich, he would be able to explain what was so bad about it and really give you a good breakdown of everything that went wrong. But if you gave Gordon Ramsay a literal piece of shit on a plate and expected him to rate it as food, well, the guy might struggle. And as somebody who is so frequently tasked with rating things that I think are terrible, I'm usually able to come up with something, but this felt like it shouldn't even have been a movie. I have seen few things that were as fucking terrible as Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter, which was so bad that it made Aaron Taylor Johnson unsexy to me. Do you know how hard that is to do? Do you know how fucking bored I am? How difficult it is to transform Aaron Taylor Johnson in my mind from an iconic babe into a guy that I wish I hadn't watched for 2 hours straight? Holy shit, that is tough to do. But it happened. And now we all have to deal with the consequences. And so this video essentially is the consequences. I'm gonna go over the things that I didn't like. But before I do that, I am going to give you a rating, and I give Kraven the Hunter a 1 out of 10. It had no redeeming qualities, and there's just so much I have to say, so we're gonna get into that. But first, I'd be lying if I said this video didn't have a sponsor. Take it away! With the holidays coming up, things are more hectic than ever. Folks are driving distracted on the road, mistakes are happening at stores and at work. And without a strong personal injury firm to represent you, an accident could mean a real disaster. That's where Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, comes in. With over 1,000 attorneys operating in all 50 states and over 30 years of experience, they are all about being for the people. And that means they fight to get you the compensation you deserve if you become their client. Morgan & Morgan won't settle for low-ball offers. In the past few months in Florida alone, they've gotten a victim $12 million for their case, over 34 times the highest insurance offer. And the best part, Morgan & Morgan's fee is absolutely free unless you win. One less thing to worry about. If you've ever been seriously injured, your case could be worth millions. And you're only a few clicks away from potentially changing your life. It's so easy. You can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan at www.forthepeople.com/snarky in the description, or scan the QR code on the screen to get started. I hope you guys aren't too mad at me about that lion pun right before the ad. Please don't unsubscribe. It's the holidays and I'm gonna think about this all week. All right, so let's break down Kraven and the Hunter. To be completely honest, I didn't expect anything good from this movie because we've already been over this, right? Sony's entire Spider-Verse, whatever you want to call it, has been absolute shit since the very beginning. Its one halfway redeeming movie was the first Venom, which honestly is a guilty pleasure. I wouldn't even say that it's a good movie. And it's just gotten progressively worse, and there have been not one but 2 other terrible Sony Spider movies this year, with Madam Web that was unforgivably bad, and Venom 3, which essentially closed out the Venom franchise with a cringeworthy whimper, not a cheer of triumph. Now, essentially, there's not really much to say that's good about Kraven the Hunter. I will say the one thing that they got right is Aaron Taylor Johnson was clearly committed to what he was doing. However, his performance, not great. Not even those biceps and those beautiful baby blues could make me forget that this was actually a really lackluster performance. I think the guy's actually a pretty great actor. I've seen him in other movies where he's delivered fantastic performances, but this was just weak. And I feel like that's consistent for pretty much everybody in this movie. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Russell Crowe, who is not only an Academy Award winner, but also happens to be one of my favorite actors of all time. And yet he plays this one like they might as well have just handed him a check and had him do his lines over a voiceover and had a stand-in play him. It was just such a weak, stereotypical Eastern European performance that I wondered if Russell Crowe was just even in his mind at all. It was just such an awful performance, and pretty much every performance in this film feels about that bad, except I realize that they're all plagued by the exact same thing, and that is this atrocious fucking script. I mean, let's not even get into the plot, which is fucking dumb, considering the fact that Kraven is supposed to be a villain, but now we've made him an anti-hero because he's an animal activist. I love animals as much as the next guy. I stopped going to our aquarium when I was like 9 because I realized that they abused the dolphins, and I took a stand on that. I fucking love aquariums. You know how badly I want to go touch a stingray, and I won't do it because I believe in animal activism. But you know what I believe in even more than animal activism? Good fucking writing. Good writing. Let villains be villains, and they wouldn't. And so they made this shitty-ass Kraven the Hunter, who doesn't feel like Kraven the Hunter. I'm sorry. Honestly, the entire time I was watching this, I couldn't stop thinking about the fact that Aaron Taylor Johnson is just the wrong casting choice. He looks fantastic, but this is not the guy for this. So the plot was absolutely fucking terrible and honestly felt super phoned in. I mean, every reveal felt like somebody just added it last minute and was like, hey, what if this happened? I mean, it was fucking ridiculous. But the dialogue itself was absolutely atrocious. Not only do we get a scene where the rhino makes this noise, I don't even know what that is, and we're gonna get more into the rhino in just a few minutes, but the dialogue is such complete ass. You know how hard it is to make a guy like Aaron Taylor Johnson uncharming and unintimidating? And he was absolutely awful because the scripts that he was reading were absolute ass. There is a line, I took a note of this. So Calypso, who comes from a long line of powerful women, and for that, she happens to be an expert with a bow and arrow because of course she took archery in high school, but she's also a very powerful woman who's a high-powered lawyer and also has some sort of connection to mystic shit. She's got it all, folks. She has a line where she literally says, my grandmother died not long after that trip, and I never saw her again. No shit, Sherlock. Of course you never saw her again. She's fucking dead. Everything said and performed in this movie felt like it was a punishment for things I had done in a past life. I don't know what I was being punished for, but Jesus Christ, Sony, I'm sorry. This was fucking garbage. Not only was that garbage, but I want to talk about the special effects in this movie. I don't know what I thought a human version, a live action version of the rhino would look like, but this shit was atrocious, was fucking strange. It was weird. There was just all sorts of things that were wrong with this. Again, I don't know how I would do any better. So for the people that are gonna come at me in the comments, why don't you try it? I don't fucking know. It's not my job. I'm not the guy making the movies. I just watch them and talk shit. But it was absolutely fucking atrocious. How weird. What a strange characterization. And the entire time that our hero, Kraven, is doing anything, I feel like I was just a millisecond away from seeing the ropes that he was connected to. Not only are there terrible failures in CGI when it comes to lions and other creatures, and the fights themselves are choreographed very strangely, but the jumps, the running, everything that Kraven does, which I understand is inspired by a lion, you know, because his origin story was a lion dripped blood into my body, and then I took an elixir, and now I'm a lion guy. I don't know how that made any sense at all. But I mean, they're trying to have the guy like prowl and move like a lion, and I feel like that should have been like, oh, Kraven, I was unfamiliar with your game. And instead I felt like I was watching a child pretend to be a cat with like a bigger Hollywood budget. It was strange, it was weird, the movements just didn't look right. I understood Aaron Taylor Johnson was trying his best, but his best combined with the CGI and the special effects and the choreography in this film were just not enough. Then, as if any of that wasn't terrible enough, you also have Sony making weird attempts to bring in characters that are from a bigger thing in Spider-Man. Like, we had them bring in the Foreigner, which, if you know anything about the Foreigner in the comics, he's not like a superhuman, he just happens to be like a really well-trained guy. He doesn't have this whole hypnosis thing that was going on that honestly was confusing to watch, and even more confusing once I heard him be referred to as the Foreigner. And then, of course, spoiler alert, if that matters to you at all, don't bitch in the comments about spoilers, just turn the video off at this point, I don't care. But spoiler alert, at the very end of the movie, Kraven's unlikable, shivering baby brother has essentially turned into yet another Spider-Man villain that we're never gonna see any more of, the Chameleon. So he's got this whole shape-shifting thing going on, and now Kraven has decided he's going to be the Kraven. That's the only time we see him in the iconic fur vest thing sitting on a chair, very cool, like the poster. You know how you thought that that's probably what the movie was gonna be, even though it actually is shit? Yeah, that's when you get it, at the very end. That should have just been the whole movie. Look at this poster, Aaron Taylor Johnson and his abs. That should have been it. Awesome, beautiful. This was a complete fucking waste of time. And quite frankly, I feel like this entire video should be an apology to my mom exclusively, because I happened to be scrolling through and I came across Kraven the Hunter and I was like, you know what else are we doing? We might as well. And to be completely fucking honest, better uses of my time could have included chewing on my car's tires, watching paint dry, putting a toothpick under my toenail and kicking a wall, banging my head into my kitchen counter until I'm dizzy. Honestly, I could have done anything else with my time and it still would have been considered more productive and I would have felt better about it than watching Kraven the Hunter. I literally would rather text my ex than watch Kraven the Hunter again. What an absolute piece of, I won't say dog shit, I won't say horse shit, I won't say bullshit, I'll say lion shit. I watched this movie for free and I still feel like I need a refund. And I know I can't get a refund monetarily because again, it was free, but I feel like I need a refund on my time. I feel like the good deeds that I have done throughout my life have outweighed the bad deeds, and therefore I should be able to get those 2 hours back. Because maybe in those 2 hours, like those last 2 hours at the end of my life, if you tack them back on, maybe they would count for something. Maybe I'd find a buried treasure, maybe I'd win a lottery, maybe I would discover the cure for some disease. I don't know. I don't know who I would be had I not watched Kraven the Hunter. I'd probably be a better person, but now we're all stuck with this. And that's all from me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more SnarkyJay, be sure to check me out on Instagram. And if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive photo shoot sets and cosplay content. I'll add links to all of those in the description below. And let me know your thoughts on Kraven the Hunter in the comments below.